Authors pour their heart and soul into their work. So how do you tell an author that their work could be better? Let's see how Matt handles this situation with Scott and Piper.
Hey Scott. Hey Matt. So I just finished reading both of your papers, right? And one of you is going to get published. The other one of you pretty much just took a crap on the page. What? Congratulations, Piper. You're getting published. But don't worry, Scott. There's a consolation prize. You get a treat. Sucks to be you.
Well, that's obviously not how you do it. But what is the right way? In this video, we'll explore how an editor gives effective feedback. The first thing to do is to mentally prepare yourself before reading the paper. An editor needs to know their purpose. They're not there to make themselves seem superior or more powerful than the author, but instead are there out of a commitment and concern for the author to make their work the best that it can be. The editor is a coach who should provide instructions and teach the author on the proper way to do things. Think of a baseball coach during batting practice. Editors need to put aside their own bias and preferences, as it is the author's voice and sensibilities that should be heard. Ethics also plays a part in the editor's role. The editor has the responsibility to the earth, to the profession, to writers and artists, to confidential sources, to stakeholders, and to society as a whole. There are 5 big questions an editor should ask themselves while reading an author's paper. What's good about the writing? What would make it better? What's the main idea and is it clear? What does the writer want the reader to think, feel, do, or after the reading? And finally, what questions will the audience have after reading, and should those be answered in the piece? So what should you do while you're actively giving feedback? In the upcoming segments, we'll show you some techniques for good feedback, as well as some really, really bad feedback. Whenever possible, the editor should utilize the compliment sandwich. This is where the editor delivers one compliment that is genuine, no fluff, follows it up with a criticism, and then ends with a reiteration of the original compliment or a new compliment.
Hey Scott, so I read your paper, and the opening paragraph, the opening was just fantastic.
Great, that's awesome.
You had a hook that really delivered, and it made me just want to keep reading through the entire paper.
Awesome.
Thesis statement on the piece, though, I think it could use some revision.
Okay, how do you think I can improve it?
Well, it's not clear enough exactly what you're arguing on the paper, so I think you want to remove some of that ambiguity and let the reader know exactly what it is that they're getting into.
Okay. Yeah, I've worked through a couple of drafts, but I haven't quite found the right wording yet. But I'll keep working on it.
Cool. And I mean, while you're doing that, keep in mind that your transitions between the paragraphs, fantastic. Like the flow all the way through, just solid. So.
All right, sweet, thanks.
Yeah.
Matt? Hey, did you get a chance to read my script yet? Are you miming? Why are you... Real mature. You're pretending to throw...
Whenever an editor delivers feedback to an author, they should frame the issues as opportunities, not problems. There's always a chance to get better.
Hey Scott, so I had a few suggestions for your paper. That first case study that you bring up, you never touch on that again, and it almost seems like it's just extra, like it's an unnecessary piece of information.
You know, I like that example a lot. I spent a lot of time writing that. I don't want it to be a problem. I have to cut it out.
Well, it's not a problem though. I think if you go in and you flesh it out like you did with the other case studies, then it could be a really valuable piece of your paper, and you could tie it into that main point. Hey Scott.
Hey Matt.
So I read your paper.
Great.
And I have an impersonation of you writing it. Do you want to see it?
No, not really.
My name's Scott. This is how I write papers. Oh look, maybe I'll come up with Shakespeare.
Come on, seriously?
The editor is a support system for the author, and whenever possible, they should try to use strong positive adjectives to describe the author's work. When pointing out a critique, they should attempt to frame it in a positive way. Instead of saying, "This section's bad," try saying, "This could be better." The editor should also frame all of their critiques so they are directed towards the writing and not the writer. It's not the writer that needs work, it's the writing.
So Scott, I've read your paper and you are off to a great start. You have the foundation of something really good here.
That's awesome to hear, because I stayed up all night last night writing that paper.
I could tell. It gets a little rambly at points. It seems like you have a little bit of
Man, I had
trouble.
so much caffeine last night.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, it's not the ideas that are bad. Your ideas are fantastic. The idea that you have running through there is just great. But the writing just needs pulled together and just needs to be a little more cohesive.
Okay, well, I'll get back to work on that.
The editor should always be clear, specific, and detailed. Always have an example on hand for every critique that you deliver. Try to point out particular words, paragraphs, etc.
Scott, I had some feedback for your paper.
Okay, great. Do you see any big issues with it?
I wouldn't say big, but at the end of paragraph 2 and 3, I think the transitions could be reworked a little. It's not as smooth as it could be.
Okay.
Also, if you look at the end of paragraph 12,
12.
you look at the word however, use that word 5 times just in that one paragraph.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, now if you go and you scroll through your whole paper, you're going to see that use that word however a lot. It's pretty much every time a counterpoint is mentioned, you use that word, it starts to get repetitive. I think you could spice that up a little.
Okay, sounds good. I'll make some changes.
Cool. Hey Scott, I
Matt?
read your paper.
Is that toilet paper? Why did you write my script in toilet paper?
Because it's crap, Scott. It's crap.
An editor should never assume that they know the writer's intent. Instead, they should ask probing, open-ended questions to find out what the author was trying to accomplish.
So exactly how does paragraph 6 tie into your main point? So in paragraph 4, you have a quotation. How is this tying into your topic sentence? So I'm seeing several different ways that your paper would go here. Who exactly is your target audience?
So now you know how an editor delivers effective feedback. First, they mentally prepare themselves. Then they ask themselves the 5 big questions about the author's work, and then while actively giving feedback, they use special techniques. So now that you know how an editor gives effective feedback, go out there and help an author make his work all that it can be. Take that author and make him realize exactly who he is.
I'm a star, Karen.